saying, how can we tap into the knowledge that exists in communities, and how can we use an asset-based lens to really create something meaningful and impactful? Because folks with lived experience, those closest to the challenge, are oftentimes the folks that hold the keys to the solution. So in my time at United Way, I've had the opportunity to work on several different equity-focused initiatives, including the Black-led social change initiative that I got to start a couple of years ago, and that really sort of has taken shape in the last year and a half. So the Black-led social change initiative at a high level aims to build power and positive outcomes within and by folks that identify as Black. And so there are currently 2 programs that operate under that initiative. The first being Champions of Change, which is a leadership and design program bringing together community leaders to create solutions that exist at the intersection of United Way and community. And Black Empowerment Works, which is a grant and supports program specifically investing in community-based Black-led ideas addressing poverty. And I'm so excited to be joined on this panel with 2 folks that have been deeply involved with both of those programs under Black-led social change.
Well, thank you, Janae, and thank you for that awesome answer. I have been able to learn so much from you and from your work, and I'm so glad that we were able to bring this group together under your leadership. So with that, we also have Michael Griffin with us. Michael is CEO of Devonshire Smith Diversity and Education Solutions, or DVS, where he has served for the last 10 years. DVS is dedicated to the promotion of higher education and career development to high school students of color and first-generation students. Thanks so much for being with us today, Michael.
Good to be here.
As part of our work at United Way, particularly through our efforts and initiatives like Black-led social change, we're seeking new partnerships and voices to help shape our connection to involvement in the community. For the last 10 years, you have cultivated your passion for youth development through DVS. How does your connection to students help to shape the work you're doing, and additionally, maybe challenge some of your own views?
Well, it's the reason why I get up every day, just in terms of reaching students and meeting students where they are, empowering them, helping them to actualize, many times to break generational curses or cycles. It's just, I work with students every year that I watch them go from one place and end up at another, whether it be college graduation, securing a job, graduating from college. So, I mean, it has been the work of my life to really do what somebody did for me, just giving me opportunities and giving me chances to really see the world outside of the one that I'm currently in. So
that's great. It must be, I love how you said that they start at one point and they get to another. That's really the ultimate goal. And you must feel a tremendous amount of success when something like that happens.
Yeah, at this point of the game, I'm dealing with, in many families, like the 3rd and 4th child. We've been around long enough.
Wow.
And really seeing that group and that family evolve and, really do stuff like buy cars, buy houses, graduate from colleges, establish careers, have real deep impact in their own community. So it's been, it's really edifying.
Yeah, that must be. Well, good. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Thank you for sharing that component. We also have with us Reggie Harris today. Reggie is a social work strategist, therapist, and arts educator, a former professional ballet dancer with 10 years of performing experience. He danced with the Joffrey Ballet of Chicago, Ballet Austin, River North Chicago Dance Company, and Dances Potriel. Welcome, Reggie.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks so much, Reggie, for being here. Through your career, the act of creating has been a central focus in your work, clearly. First as a professional dancer, and even now in your work at the Community Builders. Tell us about how your connection to United Way by participating as a champion of change engaged your creative disciplines?
Yeah, so it's interesting thinking about being a former professional dancer, moving into social work, and then working with an organization like United Way in philanthropy. And whereas for many people that may seem like sort of disparate endeavors, and for me, they all inform one another. And it's this idea of assembly, of choreography, of figuring out all the components necessary for an event, for an idea to gain traction and to be effective and to impact people, right? And many times in life, and I'm putting on my therapist hat, we think about we live life by a template, right? You know, you're this age you graduate, this age you do this, and this age you do that, and you should have this by that time. But we also know that those templates cause many people lots of distress because, like, oh my God, I'm 30 and I haven't done this thing by this template. And so we feel like, we failed, right? And so we know that templates oftentimes cause distress. And so when we think about solving complex solutions, when we think about addressing systemic challenges and change, we often fall back to these templates that have not served us. So with Champions of Change and thinking about merging that, it's all about thinking about innovation and creativity. It's all about not being encumbered by how things have been done or how we think things should be done, rather approaching things with fresh new eyes and really looking at the situation for what it is as presented to us and engaging that situation, not the situation in front of us that's covered by a layer of templates and ideas and what could have, would have, should have been. And so that is how I approach all of my work, right? Is really working to be in a headspace where I am engaging really the individual, the people, the problem that is in front of me, and then separating, okay, what are my expectations? What are my value sets? What are these schemas and templates I have about this idea? You know, separating those out so that we can just come to really creative and innovative solutions. And I was really excited to be able to provide that lens through the Champions and Change in the grant making process, because I was really keyed up about the idea of being like, let's just do something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
Right? And I think sometimes I was like, okay, wait, let's imagine a system that operates on its own. And it's I was just like all of these various ideas, because it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not try? Why not push the envelope?
I love that. And wow, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people on this call needed to hear that, but hearing you say we kind of feel like we need to fit into these certain templates can be so damaging or just kind of exhaustive to a person. I think that's really great. And it's really, though, up to the person to have to accept that that's okay too, right? So you can encourage that, but you have to, as a person, remind yourself, okay, I don't need to follow this one track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that was great. Thanks so much, everyone, for sharing all of your ideas and what you're all working on. This has so far been extremely motivational. So we're going to now move into our group questions. And again, audience, if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. But we've got a few coming up here, and we want to hear from everybody, but I will call on you as we move on. So Black-led social change was created to build power and positive outcomes within and by the Black community, as we've all heard from Janae and through work that Reggie and Michael are both doing. So let's talk about how aspiration can play a role in creating opportunity for people to show up and participate. So Michael, we will start with you. DVS has released apparel with the slogans Black Dreams Matter. Tell us more what that means to you. And is that what the rest of your shirt says?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, what Black Dreams Matter mean to me, like I'm a huge proponent of the Black Lives Matter movement. But for me, a huge part of living is the ability to dream, have a vision, actualize, and, just existing is not enough. And, at DBS, we really work with students and families to make those dreams come true. Try to remove as many barriers as we possibly can to really change mindsets, change visions, really to look forward, because we all know education is a liberating force in the Black community, and really giving students and families the opportunities to dream past their current situation and the skills and the wherewithal to meet that dream. So
it's inspiring to hear you say that. And for some people, it's so hard to even feel like they can dream, right? I mean, I'm sure you probably spend a decent amount of your time just telling people you can dream up whatever you want. You just have to believe in it yourself.
Right.
So Janae and Reggie, any additional thoughts on that about how hope and aspiration play a role in creating positive outcomes? Janae, you want to let us know what you think?
I want Reggie to go first.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Janae. So I think that that directly was related to the work that we did with Champions of Change, and this idea of dreaming, and how there are many people in our world, in our communities, that are not allowed to dream, because dreaming in many ways is something that is reserved for the privileged. And I work in Avondale, and we've worked with something. We created this program called the Economic Mobility Fund, and it's essentially a series of mini grants that we're giving out to residents. And one of the things that inspired this was that I was sitting around a dinner table pre-COVID with friends. Friends are very successful, and recognizing that people just gave them money throughout their entire lives for whatever reason. We're just all here and we're all successful because people just gave us money. And my friends who started businesses, they dreamed. And I was like, wait, so everyone should have the ability to dream. That is the thing that helps you get you out of the slog, is to envision something different. But when you are in conditions where you are just not allowed to dream, and then sometimes even chastised for dreaming, then how are we able to support people and really we talk about these bootstraps, right? But sometimes the folks have to imagine what it would be like to wear boots and to touch straps for those things. So yeah.
That's great. I appreciate that. And it really struck me when you said some people, I don't know what the exact wording, but they're almost told not to dream, and almost discouraged to do that. And we've got to, and it's obviously this group is doing that, but we've got to work to change the narrative on stuff like that. Janae?
I just wanted to be able to say ditto all of the magical things that have already been said. But the thing that I'll add to that is, as we, as a collective community, really dare to dream and strip the privilege away from dreaming and failure, we in systems and in positions of power have the imperative to pour into and lift up the dreams of other people too. And I think that is the power and the work of initiatives like Black-led social change and of Black empowerment works and Champions of Change, to point to folks and say, yo, you have a really amazing idea. Let's invest in that, whether that's in time or talent or treasure. So everything these amazing panelists have already said.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I did notice that we have in here from Rhonda, she did ask if you can drop the link for the Black Dreams Matter apparel. So before we wrap up, that's something that if somebody could do that, I assume Michael, if you could put that link in the chat, that would be great. Okay, moving on. This was fabulous. This is great. When we come to a project or a piece of work with only our own ideas, our output will have a single lens. We know that. Yet when we involve others, we get more perspectives, more ideas, and more people to help champion the project. At United Way, this is one of the reasons we are so heavily invested in creating partnership, including those through Black-led social change. Think about the work that you're engaged in, either through this or through your own personal work. How has including more people changed your views and the success of these projects? Michael or Reggie, any that you think you'd like to add from your own experience?
Michael, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So, especially what's going on right now inside of this pandemic, education is becoming even more challenging, and educational access is becoming even more challenging. So I know I work through our program, Pathways to Success. We partner with over 40 colleges and universities across the United States to really help us to reach students of color in Cincinnati through workshops, through scholarship opportunities, through other vehicles to really meet students where they are and really lift them up during this time, because it's become extremely difficult to reach students. But working with those other folks is giving us more arms, more tentacles to touch those folks and bring them in to make sure they get to where they need to go.
The only thing that I would add to that, and I agree 100%, is that I've been thinking a lot about inclusion. I've been thinking a lot about that word and what we mean. And there has been a need for me to be really precise when we talk about inclusion, to address things, because I am not a person that is inclusive of all thought, right? I don't have space for white supremacist thoughts. I don't have space for homophobia. I don't have space for any of those things. And so I'm not like an inclusive person. Right? Like I have an inclusion that's within a range of values. So I've been really thinking about values-based inclusion, and that is where we actually begin to do great work. And that's where we can partner across difference. And so I think about having someone, maybe they have different political ideologies or, religious beliefs, but the value of building communities is there. Right? And so our two frameworks, or our two lenses, are very different, but we share this common value of building strong communities. So that expands reach, because then now what we're doing is that we're having to solve some of this little nitpicky, like we're different in these ways, but we share this common value, and so that our reach can be really strong, because now we're playing on the ideas of building community and understanding the various ways different types of people engage in that work. So I think, like, yes, inclusion is good, but it needs to be strategic, and it needs to be coalesced around, in my opinion, coalesced around a larger value, so that you have maximum impact and maximum reach.
And it's about who holds power, right? So we can't have inclusion in collaboration in the extent where we're holding up traditional power structures. So how do we make sure that people at the table have voices and actually have the power to shape the end product? When I think about champions of change, this is going to be the example I use throughout all of this. We can do really good work in isolation, but we can do amazing work in collaboration. And the champions came from different backgrounds. And if you look at that final product of Black Empowerment Works, because their first task was creating Black Empowerment Works, you can see the contributions of each and every person there, in the words that we used, in the communities that we reached, all of that. So in inclusion without challenging traditional power constructs doesn't get you anywhere. It's performative.
I love that. I just want to add, yes, challenging, and even just the radical idea of acknowledging power, right? Like, unpacking power and making folks aware, because I think in many spaces, people and institutions that wield the most power are not aware of how much power they wield, and they are not aware that, like, a sideways glance or missing of a meeting or checking out first can have rippled effects. And so when acknowledging power structures at the very beginning, and also acknowledging people's experience of power structures, right? I think a lot of times for me, I reflect about being a male identified person and working in spaces where I'm working predominantly with female identified people. And I'm like a go-getter. I'm like in there, right? I'm like, I'm gonna collaborate and being very aware of like, oh, like the space that I'm taking up and how I'm taking up that space, and recognizing that part of me being raised in a very male identified way is that I feel very comfortable in taking space, right? But everyone hasn't had that experience. And so like identifying that and making all of that explicit is just part of the work.
Right, and it's part of the experience. So it's very clear that people and community is at the heart of what all of you're doing. I mean, if those didn't exist, the work that you're doing wouldn't exist. So building hope, resilience, access and opportunity with and for people. How does engaging with people inspire you? Reggie, let's start with you on this one. You are not a native to Cincinnati, yet in your time here, you've become clearly deeply engaged with the community. What have you learned about the community, people, or yourself as you engage with people that inspires you to keep doing your work?
Yeah, I think so. I am not a native to Cincinnati, and I'm a part of my identity is one of a transplant, right?
Right.
Because I dance professionally. I've lived for extensive amounts of time in Austin, Texas. I lived in Boston. I lived in Seattle. I lived in Philadelphia. I moved back home to Chicago as an adult. Moved to Cincinnati, and in each space, recognizing that, every city, every place has its own rhythm. It has its own way of being. And at the end of the day, every space has a unique way in which folks build community, and they coalesce around certain places and ideas. And being the person to figure, and I'm a person who wants to figure out how to do that. And I think that piece is where we get to like engagement and friendliness and thinking about how people can break as an incredible history,
Yeah.
an incredible Black history, from being one of the first cities to have the first and only Black school board, to being a stop on, and I don't think people recognize that Cincinnati ran and operated a school district for Black students that had all Black schools, right? Being pioneering in the work against the Black codes and the Black laws as a stop on the Underground Railroad. Thinking about how many people have read about Cincinnati after reading Toni Morrison and reading Beloved, right? This city just has this very unique history, and yet there's a part of the city that feels, I think, is very subdued. Cincinnati is it's a modest place, right? We don't do a lot of boasting. We don't really, everyone kind of knows, right? And that both have strengths and weaknesses. And so part of it is that, like, I think that things that are like really incredible about this city get hidden, and things that are like, to me, not that great are the things that we celebrate. Like, okay, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. Like, everyone like talks about Cincinnati, and like, oh, sports and chili and beer.
Like,
I'm like, no, how about these incredible views in this city? How about the fact that like there are like 7 hills in this city, and you can go in this city, and it's one of the most beautiful cities in the region, has some of the best arts institutions in the region. It is one of the like gorgeous access, beautiful homes and architecture. Like, there's like all of this stuff about this city where I'm like, no, this is bombing city in here. I'm good with the chili, right? Like, there's all sort of things. So when I think about engaging folks and engaging community, for me, it's been this process of like understanding how people see themselves, and then understanding how I see, the community and see people, and that dance, that navigating of fitting into the space and having an authentic engagement. Because my authentic engagement with Cincinnati are around the things that exist here and then I find really beautiful, and not around the things that are popular to do, because that's just not where I really sort of connect. And I've found that people have been really receptive and really receptive to the image of Cincinnati that I present. like why I'm here and why I want to be in this work, and I identify those things, I generally get kind of a cool like, huh, yeah, you're right. Never thought about it like that.
No, I think that's great. And any city can have sports and beer. We, of course, are unique to the chili, but we're unique to so many other fabulous things. I'm from Chicago, as we shared, and everybody always asks me, oh, you just must love deep dish pizza. And I'm like, no, we didn't want to wait 40 minutes for a pizza every Friday night, right? Like, so the things that we think people like, we need to kind of change that and really speak up about other reasons. So, Michael, what about you? What is it about your work that provides inspiration for you, and how does it give you hope for the future?
Just working. I mean, we work with students all over the United States. And,
Wow.
for us, the Cincinnati students and families are my favorite, just in terms of the talent and the power that these young people have. And I implore with every adult that I know, take time to invest in these young people. I mean, because what they're able to do is just, it's just so amazing to me, day in, day out. I see the possible all the time. And it's what keeps me going, what keeps me excited, it's what keeps me young, just seeing these young people figure it out and strive, and navigate, and just deal in ways that I'm just in awe of. I mean, and it makes me want to think better, do better, be better, to provide them opportunities for the powerful stuff that I see every day.
That's awesome. I wrote that down. I see the possible every day. I think that's really important to remember. Janae, any final thoughts, or is it ditto from all of this?
I mean, it's that too. But a piece that gives me motivation and that I think has been important for my journey is recognizing my role in promoting positive outcomes and just dope things happening in the community. So I know that I am not the visionary, creative person, but I know that my skill set exists in thinking about all of the small details and thinking about how we do operations and make the stuff happen. And those two things are equally valuable. So I love being able to be connected with folks like Reggie and Michael that are going to be the ones that are creating the best solutions of tomorrow, and know that my role is going to be, all right, how do we operationalize the work that we're doing? So everyone that I get to interact with just gives me a lot of energy and inspiration to keep going.
And it's funny how you don't think that you drive through the creative, because I think that you do, but we need people like you then who kind of say, okay, these people, all of these creative ideas, let's move them and let's actually get something. So that's just as impactful.
And I just want to shout out Janae really quickly. Like, I think that she also underplayed. Like, I don't know if many folks on the call have had the pleasure of working on a project with Janae, but when she says that, like, she brings things together.
Yeah.
You have not gotten a detailed email where at the end of the email, you have fully visualized how the day is going to be. I mean, damn near the weather is predicted. Yeah. You know what to wear. You know what to expect, on task. Like, it is amazing without being too much. And that's the other thing. You do it in a way where it's not like, I got this, like, I'm getting ready to read Moby Dick, like, it's just this, like, very succinct. So, like, that is creativity and, like, incredible. So I just want to shout that out.
Thank you, Reggie.
I wanted to kind of call out just some other comments in the chat. Leilita said, back when we were talking about dreaming, she goes, absolutely agree. It should be everyone's birthright. Dreaming and visualizing your dream has potential to make it a reality. And Kiza said, value-based inclusion. I like it. We did get some questions when we people registered, and somebody, and I think I'm going to pose this one because it's on a lot of people's mind. And how the question starts is, lots of eyes have become open this year, and people are willing to help but don't know how. How can we grab others and bring them into a tangible effort. So I think the question is really, what can I do to help? But I think it's more, how can I even begin to try to support this community when it comes to equity and inclusion and all the stuff that we're talking. Anybody want to take it, Michael?
I'll start first. So I talk with young people all the time, every day, all day. And one thing they often complain about is that people rarely acknowledge their existence. Hello, how are you? Good morning, right? You know, and I think people don't understand to the extent how it hurts young people, where so many people discount them, so many people don't acknowledge their existence. I mean, you know, there's a spectrum of things that we all can do, but the power of just acknowledging someone's existence is a foundational start.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Michael. That's great. I know I'll definitely take that with me. Janae or Reggie, anything to add on that?
I mean, one thing I would say is, you know, there is lots of really great work happening around the community.
Yeah.
It's keeping your ears and your eyes open to it. And the thing that I'm going to challenge of everyone is two things I'm going to challenge. One is that it doesn't have to be this like massive, miraculous thing, right? Everyday small efforts contribute. Secondly, I would say, like, let's keep that energy up year over year. So my concern is always going to be that when things feel the most visible, when the wound feels the most open, that people are going to be contributing of their time and funds. But these challenges exist year over year over year over year over year. So how can we think about sustainability and trying to address some of these community efforts?
I would, yes, Janae, and I would just add, and I'm gonna challenge. I'm gonna be it's gonna have a little edge to it because I feel very passionate about this. My question is why? Why do you want to help? And if the only answer you can come up with is just because I just want to help, then don't. Because you helping is about you. It's about you wanting to alleviate yourself of some guilt. It's about you thinking that you are the type of person that should care, so you would care, because we see that all the time.
Right.
But if you want to help because you see the liberation of others bound up with your liberation, then join the fight. And then it becomes very clear where the work is, because it aligns with your passion. It aligns with your skill set. You start to see the injustice in your everyday. You start to question your surroundings. You start to educate your family members. You start to push back when you hear racist comments or homophobic comments from your family members. You start to take stock of your social circles and addressing the diversity within your own social circles. You start to notice communities and places and things on your drive in the city that you live in, and not avoid other neighborhoods because historically you have, because they just haven't been. And so when you touch really fundamentally, you establish why you want to help, the how becomes really clear. Because it becomes something that you can't not address. And so that for me is the real, like, why do you want to help?
Right. Know that first before you go into it. Well, this has been great, Janae, Reggie, and Michael. I've loved hearing all of your insights. We are not done just yet. I want to have everybody have the opportunity to answer 2 of these quick questions. If you could send a message of hope and inspiration to Greater Cincinnati that you would plaster on a billboard for everyone to see, what would it say? Michael, do you have an answer?
Keep pushing every single day.
Keep pushing every single day. I love that. Reggie?
I would say the kids are all right.
Yeah.
The kids are all right. These I got my money on the kids.
Right?
And then I would say, the world needs you and we're ready.
I'm writing these down. I love that, Janae. The world needs you and we are ready. Okay, and as you know, we curate a playlist, a Spotify Motivational Mashup playlist that we will share at the end of this. But I want to know, what song would you add to the playlist? Something that keeps you motivated or inspiring. Reggie?
My song is Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full.
I love it. Okay. Michael?
Motivation by T.I.
Nice. And Janae?
All right, so I thought really long and hard about this question in food form and wanted to fit in this theme of collaboration. So I think it would either be After the Storm by Kali Uchis, Tyler the Creator, and Bootsy Collins, or Brand New Day from the cast of The Wiz.
Love it. Okay, so my host here has just placed our playlist in the chat, and that is curated by individuals who joined us today. They can submit a song when they register, and I will make sure to get all the songs that you said added to that. The playlist that we create is it is open, that other people can add songs to it. So please check it out. You're welcome to add to it, and check out the other motivational mashups. This was our 4th motivational mashup. So there's 3 other playlists that you can check out. This was great. So thank you, Janae, Reggie, and Michael for sharing with us, sharing all of your tremendous insight. I definitely feel motivated, and it has been such a pleasure getting your time on this call today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes. And thank you to all of you, our guests who are here today, our attendees. As I said at the top of the call, we could not do the work that we're doing, the work that these individuals are doing, without the generosity of our community. I hope that you enjoyed today's session and learned more about how your gift is making an impact. You can learn more about your impact and all the work that we are doing by following us on social media. And you can also visit our website at uwgc.org. Our next motivational mashup is planned for next year, February 1st, 2021. And as I said, please make sure to check out the Spotify playlist. And if you have any other questions, Janae just posted in the chat, uwgc.org/Black-led for more information on the Black-led Social Change Initiative.
And Michael put his email address on getting details about the apparel.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, please grab that down real quick. info@dvseducation.org. This is great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to everybody who attended, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much for being here.